This day 648 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. This week's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is being sponsored for a schus for the success in business endeavors of Yona's son Ezra ben Chana Feigl. It should be very successful. Enjoy much atzlacha. If you'd like to sponsor an upcoming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, it's going to be directly very greatly appreciated. Today we are doing Siman Shin Pei Sif Vav. It says Siman Shin Pei Aleph Sif Beis. If the person who's mevatel b'shus only wants to mevatel his portion of the chatzer below base, not his house, yochol asoskin, he can do this. He wants to go to mevatel his house. Now mevatel stam, he says mevatel without specifying. Shomer shusim mutelslach, he says my shus is batel to you. Lo bitel rak shus chatzer, he only is being mevatel the shus of his chatzer below shus beso, not the shus of his house. But and the reason is what they really need is the chatzer, and the chatzer should answer the rest of the chatzeros. Okay, so a ding should be to what is the halacha at once he was mevatel. In bital markel b'chatzer, he's only about his portion of the chatzer, or b'stama, or he was mevatel generically. The avikim of foresh rachel b'chatzer, which is the same as being farish, only his chelk in the chatzer. Hemutan motzim b'teim b'chatzer. They are allowed to take it from their houses to his chatzer. V'gam hu mutar, and he is also allowed to take it from their houses, to even to his chatzer. She'en kareachim ba'alma is only is just like a guest. Came shon b'shus per chatzer since he has no independent jurisdiction in the yard. I basel chatzer, but from his house to the chatzer, and we basel belisam, and from his house to their houses also it's forbidden. Gam hu, gam hein, both of them. He to them and them to him. Whenever those who say should certainly open says got to lock his house. They shouldn't come to take out in a prohibited fashion. Because he's accustomed to this, he's going to forget and take stuff out. He should only open for exiting and entering. You let him out, and he should lock it immediately after he exits and after he enters. Even though a chatzer, which has no erev, lo tzachli is a bias. We don't require to lock your house, so you don't come to carry the chatzer. Same as shkum asun, that's because everybody is equally also. Avakam, but here shkum mutar, more of them are mutar talta beit on the chatzer. They're allowed to get from the house to the chatzer. But kashim are afraid shemitoch haergel, since everybody else is doing it. He'll also going to do it. Therefore require him to lock the door. As a reminder, to remember that he can't move stuff from his house into the chatzer. Mishnah Berurah says Shas Lachaki would be lying to be makel on those who you don't need locking. Because Arukh HaShulchan is mashma to his machmir that he does require locking. Vim bita lehem gam rishus beis of his about also the rishus of his house. And we turn to Gami Beis to the chatzer. They can even carry from his house to the chatzer, Flabatim, and to other houses. Gam hu mutar, and also him. And he can nechshav correct because it's to be like a guest. Ach einu mutar el achar shigziku hem b'chatzer. But it's only mutar after they've taken hold of the chatzer, when she's bar b'simin abba. In other words, he has become a non-entity in this yard. Mishnah writes the same thing. He says, and he has to be careful not to take from the chatzer into his house before they take from the chatzer into his house again, so he should be considered to be a complete guest vis-a-vis them who are now controlling everything. In the brackets he says, don't can't ask why when he was mevatel only his chatzer, he should be also to carry from his house to the chatzer, because as a guest, he wasn't back to the shus of his house. He's not a rech when it comes to his house, and therefore he's not a rech when it comes to his house. Therefore, he can't carry from his house into anywhere else. It's like an individual who didn't participate can be about to shus to the masses. It doesn't seem to be correct here. I think it's a typo here. obvious typo. Robbing Shet Irvu. Well, it has to be that. The individual who did make an Erev can be vouchers to the rabbin who did make an Erev. Rabbing, so to these I'm give vouchers to some slow. They voucher the rishus to him. It's a compelling reason. Shu mukrach lo timna bais chotzer because it's necessary for him to take from his house to his chotzer. But time tosefta. This is what it says tosefta. Anshe chotzer shachar anshe chotzer. People chotzer shachar echad mehem below ear. One of them forgot and participated. All of Vata Rishus, he has to negate his domain. But if his house was a house of Avel or Mishnah and he needed access then to the Chatzar, then they can Vata the Rishus to him. Hi, we already said anyway when it's Vata Rishus and they called it, he can carry from his house to the Chotzer, as we explained. Since they have to take physical hold of his house, like conquer his house, so therefore, perhaps he's averse to being about to his house, because then everybody can come and go with constant, without any permission. They have egress, they have access because it's about to raise rishus. The bracket says that the mitzvah for that, it says the mitzvah the person if it's a great man, then he has permission. End quote. Meaning, if he's a great man, it's not proper for him to be battle to them. His rishus, he battle him, they can battle to him. Even though Gemara says the Rava beat Rishus, so the Rava wasn't about those Rishus. They have to say it was compelled to do it because there was a child who needed hot water for his bris milah, as is explained there. There's a difference when the Yachid is not about Rishus to the masses and vice versa. The when an individual is about to to the masses, we said the individual can't carry nation as a correctly because it becomes a guest of theirs. The many are about to the individual ain't okay. They can't all become guests by the individual. And this because it's too big a ruse. Everybody knows they're not guests. It's an individual relative to the many. We say, okay, he's a guest, right? But you can't say they're all guests all of a sudden by the individual. Of a rabbi, it's a yachid, but it's a yachid. But the many vis-a-vis an individual, and even individual vis-a-vis an individual. So only two people in the chotzer. So even then they make an eruv. There's a battle when one's battle shus to the other, it doesn't become a guest. If the Mnei Chotzer who were part of the Eruv are Mabato the Rishus to the person who was not Ma'arev, who Mutzalotim based on Chotzer, can take up from his house to the Chotzer, below mi bateya, but not from their houses. Unless they're about the Rishus of their house. Being Bitlu and their Mabato, Yocholotim Chotzer, they can take him from their houses to Chotzer. Avalheim, but they. Asurim Apni Basel Chotzer, even take up from his house to the Chotzer. Blomin issue or Korchim, but don't say that guest. It's a Yochid. Many can become guests of the individual. I feel Bita Rishus based, and even they know they were about the Rishus of their house. Assuming Tafel Apni Basel Chotzer, they can't carry from even from his house to the Chotzer. Feel Hichsid Tchila B'Chotzer, and even if he laid hold, he sees the Chotzer first. Anymore, it's not effective. Well, the name is also true about you Shnaim about it. There are only two people, like we said. One to get one was battle the other. Battle also the battle is also to Apishal Chaber, even to carry from his friend's house to his friend's yard. Chaber mutter Apishal Hatzmo, and his friend is mutter even in the guy's Mabatos, which was his house to take out to the yard. Basically Chaber and Bitalo was come Rishus Beso. Well, that's actually took from the that's when he's only about the Chotzer, so you take from the one Chotzer to the other Chotzer. Most of the other individuals vato is rishus beso, then the individual to vato can do hotzah from the house to the chotzer, but not the individual wasn't vato. It's a yochid lo nechshav korech, as we explained. An individual vis-a-vis individual is not considered to be a guest. I'm wondering if this case ever happened in the course of human history. The Shabura says the name of Avram that even if the Yachid seized the property of the Rabbin, that doesn't help. They still can't be Motzi. They're not considered to be guests. The Ashba says like the Magen Avram, but he concludes that even though they're forbidden to take out in any event, nevertheless they can't answer on them by their taking out if he was Machzik first. At least that. In other words, once he's Machzik, takes hold of their houses and their chatzeros, the fact that they can't get afterwards, too bad. They are being over an Isser, they're not seizing back their property. Evan Ozer argues, says that only a Rabbim, Eitzel Yachid is not a Yorech, but Yachid by Yachid is a Yorech, and B'shas HaChak can rely on that. That's what Bishabur says. Okay, Pashat Hadav is test. Pashat Hadav, it's clear. The Kshem Shem Echad Shlo Ir Moya Bitul Rishus Kmochen Shnayim Al Yosef Shlever Yicholim Batul Rishus. Not only in the division of Batul Rishus, even two or more. Batul Rishus. Like we just said, all those who didn't make an Erev, Yavato Rishus. Well, the case before was they all had an Erev together. So the Rabbim all Batul Rishus as one. That's about where they didn't have an Erev together. There were three people, and two of them were separate and Batul Rishus to the one. Each one of those who do not but didn't make an error, Yabatu Rishus will negate as the Shus, to each one of them Ne'achotzer she'irvu. If they made an error, they're Mabatu Rishus to him. It's represented Mabatu to the person who didn't make an error, but it's necessary. They shouldn't be Mabatu to two who didn't make an error. That doesn't work. So that will tell us it's not. Doesn't help at all. Shem Muslim said they're still going to forbid each other. Came with Shlo Irvu since they didn't make an error. Rabbi Kushnaim had Dorim B'Chotzer, it's like two people living in Chotzer below Irvu, they didn't make an error. Shlo Muslim said they forbid each other carry. And even said he said to one, I'm Mavato to you. Tonight that you go back and you're Mavato to your friend. So there's be like a Shiva Rav Nosson Bittel, I'm Mavato to you, you're Mavato to the other guy. It's not effective. He can't be considered shliach to be makne the bittul. Doesn't transfer like that. Only to one of the two who wasn't married, and then you're stuck. It's a dead end. Just as we said that many by an individual can become guests, so to many by many. If you go Rabbi Shlo Ir was there for many people who were married. To many who were married. And people are not allowed to take stuff after the Chotzer. Even for the house of those people participate in Erev, to which they're about to Rishus, Chodim she's borrows, as we have explained. He says, you know what? Two people can become Orchim by more than two. So two can become Orchim by three, but three can never become Orchim. It's a rabbin. That means an individual can become an orech by the rabbin. Even as an individual in his house, that means even if he has a family, rabbah, great family, for these purposes called an individual. And with the opposite, we said that the masses, the many, can't become guests. Even they're bachelors. We go to the houses, the households, not after the people. The Sharatzin says that the bittul of two people only works to those to whom he was avato, to they were avato. But it doesn't work for the batim themselves, because since they're two, well, it seems simple, they're included in a rabbin. Even vis-a-vis 100, no, actually it's not so simple, because Arukh HaShulchan said two can be Mavato, or Mishabur says two cannot be Mavato. It's to be Rabbim already. Prima Godim says even if they said this Lashon for Erev Shabbos, that they're Mavato, the two to the 100 here, doesn't work. A few take a mail. Bill says that if many people live in one house, according to Chem and Moshe, they're called many. And if one lives in several houses, he's called an individual. He says you don't pay attention to the houses. But the Baal Tanya is clear like the Arukh HaShulchan, that many people in one house are still considered the yachid, and they can be guests relative to the rabbim, the many people, even individuals in the many other houses, like the Arukh HaShulchan, which for some reason leaves that with the tzarchim. Shin Peyav, the Mavato was Shuso, somebody was Mavato was the Shus, Vavra Voti, and yet nevertheless he went down towards his Motzi. Ubito Rishus Mechotz Chotzer and being Mavato Rishus from one yard to another yard, Vodinim. Aleph. Kosa to Rishon Rach Mavato Rishus the same as Mavato Rishus. Voti Ragam Beis Chotzer, and afterwards he takes it from his house to Chotzer. Bishoke if he did it inadvertently, Eno, so he doesn't forbid. Amazing deliberately Oser, he forbids. Shrei Chozer Mibi Tulo Shabito. He's reneging on the bittul. But if they're already machzik, they took already from their house to the chotzer, or from the yard to their houses, and they conquered him. He can't be chazam as bitulo. Rashi according to Rashi, the chazak has to be after nightfall, not before Shabbos begins. Doesn't work. And Mishmur says should be machman like this Rashi. Yom lo shach chazaka, because Shulchan continues that before Shabbos begins, chazaka is not relevant. Shebechol any tilto, because on weekday there's no prohibition of carrying. Shegam below big bittul you can see. Without bittul you can carry wherever you want. Nearest likely to be times that gamim amabato hoti mod yom, and so therefore conversely, if the vato was moti from before Shabbos, it's not a negation of the bittul. It's not yet the time. Unless he was moti after dark. However, the Bishop Burns and the Afran says even his moti of Shabbos is chazer from his bittul, and he answers upon them when Shabbos begins. But even though the Afran says it, Bishop says it's not compelling. You can say that even though the bittul can be Mod Yom, the chazara is only shayach when he's moti on Shabbos, and not when he's moti on a weekday. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. Okay, Mashimash tested the Samachdes, the Ramas Chutzi, Hashmesh Nation Mechalo Shabbos. Simply, the negation of the bittul is because he otherwise is Mechalo Shabbos. So it's clear the same place on Shabbos. Yechabato. I'm not sure if he's any Yechabato, but that's beside Bachrai. And Bachrai does it just on an occasion. It's honestly be a criminal. Yechabato Erev Shabbos. Yabata of Shabbos, they'll rack with Shabbos, Vidukin is only on Shabbos. I'm not sure what he's referring to there either, but somehow these Rashi places are a raya that the Chazorah is only effective if it's effective after Shabbos begins. Why can't he renege his bittul? There was no Kenyan. He removed himself. That's all. Everybody comes back, takes hold of it. It rebounds back to him. But only if they were maxi first. They are zochim rishus because it was they made a chazaka like chazay kukni. They took effect like any kid. There's a question we can ask. Like you negus bitu, why don't you just say the Spanish marshal is all arranged? That's it. It's fine for the rest of Shabbos. What do we care that he went back and machzik on Shabbos? Tirtz Rosh chances to me the chazal b'yichzik amazed if he did it deliberately. Shana shlo bitla bemis shows he really wasn't mevatel. So he must have afraid that it wasn't believed sholim. And he never really distracted himself from his ownership. Meaning such low class, so it was never a mutter. Mission trace to those who answer. That's the task. The law mean a whole you only don't say that since it was mutter of Shabbos remains mutter, but because of Shabbos. That's something which is specifically relevant to the income when Shabbos comes in. Then we say whole vucha because we saw so since it was mutter when Shabbos came in, hucha chol yom it's mutter for the entire day. Mashkem bitter rishus supposed to bitter rishus to mo gam chashecha. It's not. It doesn't have to do with Shabbos coming in. You can even do it after night falls. They play because of Shabbos. Okay, but you know she's kind of Shabbos. That's why it has to be sustained off Shabbos. He's battling. If it's canceled, it's canceled. It's nice for That's it. Back to says here. It says here task when Ava and Shem Shlosh Chai Deber Rosh Klav doesn't run the rush. Rosh Lo Tiretz came, but since the rush didn't answer away, Shmamina from this we conclude the guy Meheter Be'emser Shabbos. Perhaps even the Heter was in the middle of Shabbos. You say Hov Utra Utra. a very novel idea. Say even from the middle of Shabbos, not just before Shabbos. Shabbos, but that for them would hold nothing can be muktzah and become muktzah with Shabbos. Yeshua Swaras Taz, evidence for the Taz. The Rosh Nitzach Lamar, the muktzah shari. According to Rosh, I have to say it's different. Muktzah is different. Shetoy Ragged Ben Hashmosh is Migatzoi. We Yitzkatzoi because also it has to do completely with twilight and say Migatzoi Ben Hashmosh is Yitzkatzoi Kol Yoma. So it became muktzah then. It's muktzah for the entire day. My Rabbi Shlomo here lays Swaras Taz. Become Lulon Yitzkav Diva Rosh. Like the Chaynes Swaras Taz. Shulchan likes the Swaras Taz. The Duke.